So do you see that urgency really building up for the youth? And is the answer removing the old guard and necessarily bringing a youthful figure as a leader?
I think from recent observations, and we can actually speak of the just recently concluded nominations, we saw quite a number of young people, especially young women, coming out to seek for elective positions, and when they couldn't fit in within party lines, they went ahead and decided to to vie as independent candidates. So that in itself is a signal that young people are seeing the need of getting into leadership urgently. But more importantly is one of the spaces that we are always disadvantaged is finances when it comes to running for office. And it's been cultivated by Kenyans' culture of electing people because they have money. But in some quarters we've seen that changing. Like in 2017, we had an isolated case of JP Mweregi, who was voted in without money, and recently we got another lady in Toto in Bomet. So I feel like well, for Toto and Mweregi, those were outliers, but on a bigger scale, we have so many young people who are putting themselves out there to to show that they are capable of leading and going for it. But I can tell you, financial constraints is a big stumbling block, and the fact that Kenyan voters will ask for money from these young people, knowing very well that perhaps someone graduated like a year ago, they don't even have their first job, right? So it's sort of catch-22. You want to lead, but then there are a number of constraints or things that you would call like lack of competitive advantage, right? Because
largely it's money.
It's money. It's largely money, because if you talk about the voting bloc, the young people, account for the highest voting bloc. So
76%.
Yeah. So that already tells you that the numbers are there, but the numbers will always shift because of of course, conditions that are there, like unemployment. They will shift to where the money is. So even if you are a young person promising to bring transformation, and even having had maybe a record of bringing transformation before, they're most likely going to go with the highest bidder in terms of who is giving out a lot of money and all. So I think largely there's an aspect of citizen or civic education that needs to go in to activate that sense of urgency of putting young people into leadership. And so because if you talk about, you have to look at the voter side, because that's where decisions are made. Otherwise, if we keep on pursuing those who are in leadership, they're probably there temporary, and perhaps they don't even care about nurturing a new generation of leadership, right? Because
there's the aspect of, as well, as you can see the progress there, the live location has been indicated, making good progress along Thika Expressway and Super Highway there at Kahawa area, and yeah, picked up the pace and should be actually even getting past Kennel Inn a bit, given the pace that they have and having cleared the highway. As this continues, the conversation I have in studio, and we're indicating the voice there, the person that you can hear, Stephen Machua. He is a young entrepreneur, and Amina Ikram, she is a youth leader and looking to join the top office in a few years, maybe. And the whole conversation is really from a youthful perspective, a youthful lens of who the third president, Mwai Kibaki, is to them, what he meant to them, and what lessons that we can pick as we select our current leadership. A bit of a slow pace there as we're getting over the bumps, as you can see. But yes, the conversation is necessary also to be had with the youth, to have them give their say in terms of what leadership is meant to be, the lessons that they have learned from Kibaki, who started while he was a youthful man, from the world of academia, joining politics at 29, and finally in 2002 taking the reins of power in the nation, taking his 2 terms, and both of them largely been credited, the development that Kenya has seen and has covered, been credited to his type of leadership, his selfless type of leadership. Many saying he is the best yet that we have had. And the analysis continues, but we're just having a conversation here on what part the youth can play in determining who joins leadership, who determines what their future will hold. There's a money aspect that Stephen has brought up, the constraints that is faced. We have as he rightly puts it, the outliers like Toto, who made it in their areas. But majority are not able to break through. Yet it's the youth who form the majority of the voters' bloc, at least have the numbers, let's say that.
Yes.
Then where's the disconnect between the youth choosing one of their own? Is it that they also feel they would entrust someone older with leadership? Where is the disconnect from your analysis of leadership and prospects?
I think it's not necessarily us choosing a youthful person, but we can, like Kibaki, as much as he was not a youth, his age was way above youths, but he respected, even gave youths an opportunity to like be one of the people to like bring national good to this country. So I think it's not necessarily us electing youthful leaders, but electing leaders that will bring opportunities for the youths. You can see Kibaki through his promulgated constitution of 2010, he had lots of opportunities on paper for the youths. As much as he was not a youth, but he had opportunities for the youths. So I think the debate here is not us electing our fellow youths, but electing leaders that are visionary, transformative, and selfless, like the late Kibaki.
Right. Your take on that, because there seems to be a disconnect if indeed the youth say they need a chance, but they're being locked out the nomination stage. Yes, that's more of the political party at play, but does it speak to the grain, the grain, not cultural necessarily, but the attitude that is held against the youth, that they're not given a slot? What will it take for them to really win the trust then?
I think it goes to a number of issues. And number one is the orientation. At what stage do young people get into leadership, and are those what are the available avenues, right? So it's the issue of entry point would mean, do we have like we see in the US or in the UK or other European countries, do we have leadership institutes that, if I spot like a political talent now, do we have a way of
honing?
It's honing, and sort of directing them towards that path. And maybe one of the recent development that I've seen is I think there's a fellowship with known as public service, Emerging Public Service Leaders Fellowship. So that in itself probably will play a major role in nurturing the skills of young people who want to be in the public service, right? So, but now it's happening internally. So we might want to to even speak to the needs of those who are outside, because